What is up, fellow nerds? It is your friend Connor Doe here from Always Nerdy TV, giving you an exclusive video and an exclusive look into what we might be able to expect in the upcoming Marvel movie Avengers: Infinity War. We can derive most of our information from the trailers that have been released, obviously, and actually the source material, i.e. the comic. Now, obviously, the comic book universe and the cinematic universe are very different, but they also are very similar in a lot of ways. Consider the Black Order, for example, a new group of cinematic universe characters that we've never seen, but has actually been in the comic book universe since only 2013. And it's very interesting to see all four members actually help Thanos this early in the storyline, but it makes sense to have Thanos have somebody by his side, considering he lost both his daughters. And this is what he considers his new family. Let's talk about who these characters are, considering we've never seen them before. Let's jump into it.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
The first and one of the most badass characters in the Black Order is Corvus Glaive. He's actually a psychic, and conveniently enough, he's married in the comic books actually to Proxima Midnight. Now, they're both psychics, they're both badass, and they both run the Order very strictly. Also, we have almost the renegade. He would be what we would consider the bruiser if we were to put him in League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm. He's a beast. He's a Black Dwarf. His name is Black Dwarf. So we got Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, and Black Dwarf. And then lastly enough, we've got Ebony Maw. Now, he's not, I guess he's not black, but he's like almost an alien race, Nova-esque race. He's got a gold robe and a white gray skin. Almost your prototypical 1950s alien. Let's put a side by side over here. Like I mentioned, Thanos is now considering these four people the children of Thanos. So it'll be interesting to see who survives, because in the comic books, there's a very interesting death. Now, as I mentioned, they are very different, the cinematic universe and the comic book universe. The new characters that we also have a new plotline, of course. Thanos is one of the most badass villains in all of the Marvel cinematic universe. That's understood. I don't think that Thanos is going to be too happy with Loki, considering that he lost the Mind Gem and it was given to a foe, i.e. Vision. Granted, it was a lot more complicated than that, and there was a whole other guy named Ultron that was a middleman. But I understand that Thanos would still be mad at Loki, but it would be very interesting for Loki to switch sides like he always does in order to get on Thanos' good side and find out what exactly Thanos is doing.
There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if we could become something more. So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
In any case, you know this, you call yourself Lord of Thunder, God of Thunder.
I've never met this man in my life.
He's my brother.
Adopted.
Loki is a very good villain because he plays the audience character. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the time he goes to the main villain of the plot line, and he goes and he acts as the audience, asking questions like, what is your main motive? Why are you doing this? To figure it out for the audience, giving us an idea of what's going on in the mind of the main villain. And Loki inevitably gets, whether it be a kingdom that crashes, or escape, or just no consequences from his particularly earlier actions. In order to understand what's going on with Thanos, we need to understand what's going on with the stones. So just a quick rundown of what's going on with each of the 6 stones. The Space Stone, because it's probably the one you're most familiar with, i.e. the Tesseract. Now obviously that was a main plot point in a lot of the previous Marvel Cinematic Universe storylines. So interestingly enough, Heimdall, if you don't remember him, it's this guy, the guardian of the passenger of the worlds. He's very famous for saving all of the people of Asgard when Ragnarok came. He owned that. We actually find out that Loki owns the space gem at this current point because he stole it from this guy. Well, actually he stole it and he stole the ship. So he's off to the races with the Space Stone. Another gem that you may be familiar with is actually the Mind Gem, and this is in the form of the scepter given to Loki by Thanos. Interestingly enough, who would have known? Thanos may be pretty pissed at Loki, inevitably, for giving up the Mind Gem and then Vision using it against Thanos. But I think, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, in order for the plotline to progress, Thanos is going to have to take it from, unfortunately, Vision. Thus, you get the soppy love story from Scarlet Witch and the Vision. It's gonna be sad, guys. I'm sorry. Reality Gem was stolen actually from Asgard in the 2012 film Thor 2 Dark Elves and Attack of the Dark Elves, Attack of the Gremlins, Attack of the Clones. It was stolen by one of the Dark Elf leaders, Malekith, and actually lose it immediately because he's terrible. He was a terrible villain, that's why nobody remembers this movie. It was a terrible movie. Nevertheless, later given to the Collector, hoping that it would be safeguarded. Little did they know what the Collector would have to do or was gonna do with the actual stone. Power Stone is actually popular to the Guardians of the Galaxy universe, so if you're familiar with that universe, you'll be familiar with the stone. Ronan the Accuser was sent by Thor to collect this particular stone, but inevitably Nova Corps attained it and they currently control it. How long will they keep it? Well, if Thanos attacks them, not very long. The Time Gem we're also super familiar with if we've watched the Marvel movie Doctor Strange. Now, in that movie, Doctor Strange takes a bite out of an apple, almost you could say half of the apple, and then uses the Time Gem to go back in time and bring that apple back, perhaps foreshadowing something, maybe, I don't know. He also uses that same Time Stone or the Eye of Agamotto to trick Dormammu into stop attacking his particular realm. Very smart, very interesting. We'll be able to see if he uses that particular attitude and that particular wit to beat Thanos, because we know in the comic books, even though they're different, Adam Warlock is inevitably the guy that takes down Thanos. So since we don't have him in this universe so far, we'll see how it happens. There you have it, that's where the 6 gems are. So what we can expect in this particular movie that relates to those gems is Thanos taking them. Because we know that 3 movies are actually going to be assigned to this particular plot line, including a bunch of subplot storylines with Ms. Marvel and a bunch of the other solo film movies, know that this is probably a trilogy storyline similar to those like, I don't know, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, South Park Imagination Land trilogy, of course. A lot of these trilogies are of epic proportions and they require an epic build. So this first movie, we can assume there will be an epic battle right here. We can also assume that the first film, I think Thanos will end by obtaining all of the Infinity Gems and using the Infinity Gauntlet to, of course, snap his fingers and get rid of half of the universe. From the comic book directly, it's very interesting because he does it for love's sake. Now, I don't see any love interest in this particular plotline in the cinematic universe. I don't understand why, unless they introduce Mistress Death in this particular movie, but it would be interesting to do that this late in the storyline, even though it's early in the trilogy. It's a very weird, interesting dichotomy of storytelling, but we'll see if the Marvel Cinematic Universe plays out well enough and there's enough background for us to care about these characters, considering Thanos has only been on the theater screen for about 5 minutes total. From the trailers, we can ascertain that Thanos actually arrives to planet Earth to collect the Mind Gem from Vision. He probably goes throughout the universe collecting the other gems, specifically the Reality Gem from the Collector, and then the Power Gem from the Nova Corps. And he probably goes throughout collecting the other gems. We don't know where the Soul Gem is. The Soul Gem actually is what powers up Vision in the comic books, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we don't know what the Soul Gem does, interestingly enough. The Dark Order actually serves a great purpose. They're great for storytelling device, and why is that? Well, because the Avengers actually need a win. They need a Death Star to blow up. What do I mean by that? Well, they need hope to progress in the story, so that way when the second movie comes along and some bad things happen, they have good stuff, things with hope to look back on, similar to the Star Wars story.
The Black Order will be the main antagonist of this first Avengers movie, and I think that's great, and I'm excited to see the Avengers beat their ass, because who doesn't want to see that type of action? We're going to definitely be doing a review on the movie after it comes out that night. So go ahead and subscribe, and if you want to get more details on the movies and some things that you may have missed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. My name is Connor with Always Nerdy TV. Thanks again for checking us out, and have a great day.